We have some major breaking news that has been announced that NASCAR has officially countersued 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to the video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news as it has been officially announced and confirmed that NASCAR will officially countersue 2311 and Front Row Motorsports on antitrust claims. Here is what was reported by Jeff Gluck. He says a new 30-page court filing shows NASCAR has countersued 2311 and Front Row and named longtime Michael Jordan business partner Curtis Polk as a defendant, saying all three willfully violated the antitrust laws by orchestrating anti-competitive collective conduct. More to come. This is absolutely a massive and breaking story. We obviously know that 2011 and Front Row Motorsports had not signed the original charter agreement for 2025, which of course that charter agreement goes through 2031, and they did not sign the charter agreement, and they decided to go ahead and sue NASCAR on antitrust claims. And they were able to get their preliminary injunction granted a couple months ago, I believe back in December, right before the season had officially come to an end, or at last year ended, and they were able to get their charters. Had they not been able to get their preliminary injunction granted at the time, everyone at 2311 and Front Row probably would have been walking and looking for jobs going into 2025. That includes Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, who just signed multi-year contract extensions, Riley Herbst, who had just signed with the team, and then of course Zane Smith, who did not have a contract signed with Front Row Motorsports at the time. They were suing on antitrust claims in regards to money and in regards to having a little bit more power in the sport. And early in the lawsuit, the original lawsuit that 2311 Front Row had signed with NASCAR, they had Jeffrey Kessler involved as their lawyer, while NASCAR had their lawyers involved as well. In the early portion of the lawsuit, NASCAR was winning. They had basically the original judge in, but then the original judge had basically stepped down. And then Kenneth Bell, came in very recently in the last couple of months. And in the last couple of months or so, Kenneth Bell had basically granted the preliminary injunction, and NASCAR tried to do a lot of different things and appeals, and they have basically gone ahead and sent their appeal out in the original lawsuit. However, we have not had any updates as of recently on that front. And now you've got NASCAR, who is going to be suing on antitrust claims at this point on their side. If NASCAR provide the evidence, that is going to certainly be interesting. But NASCAR at one point called the RTA a cartel, which that was not the best decision I think NASCAR could have made personally, to go ahead and call the teams a cartel that were part of the RTA. Now, obviously, NASCAR is going to basically say that we're going to only have 32 charter teams because, of course, 2311 Front Row are 30 charter teams because of the two Stewart-Haas Racing charters, which Tony Stewart was not a fan of the charter agreement at that point, and Tony Stewart was trying to get out of the sport at that particular moment in point. Now, what's really interesting about this, as mentioned in the original statement, saying willfully violated the antitrust laws by orchestrating anti-competitive collective conduct, I don't know what exactly that means, to be honest with you, because I'm not part of the law, and I don't really follow law very closely, so I'm not entirely sure what that exactly means. But I have to assume that that means that NASCAR was not happy with them losing the lawsuit at this point, because NASCAR is even threatened at this point that if they were to lose the original lawsuit, they would go ahead and basically get rid of the charter system altogether. And as much as I think a lot of fans are not the biggest fans of the charter system as a whole, you've got to have the charter system around because it would make the sport less competitive. You would have some of these teams like a Rickware Racing who's up their competitiveness in the NASCAR Cup Series. Teams like Spire Motorsports who invested millions upon millions of dollars of getting better. They bought Kyle Busch Motorsports and bought their Truck Series program. They got Kyle Busch associated with that. And they would not be a three-car team, probably have to downsize their program. And some of the drivers like Michael McDowell and Carson Nosbar might not have rides with the team. Same thing with Justin Haley as well. I think about teams like Front Row, who've had some sponsors leave very recently. And 2311, throughout this lawsuit, they've lost a couple big sponsors. Granted, Coca-Cola might be joining in the future with Bubba, but it sounds like Dr. Pepper and Moneyline are no longer associated with 2311 Racing. And I think a big reason why those sponsors have left the team is because of this lawsuit going on currently at the moment. I think it is certainly interesting, though, that NASCAR has gone ahead and countersued these teams from 2311 and Front Row. And it's going to be very interesting to see some of that evidence that does come out very, very soon, because we don't know exactly what evidence they are going to provide. Because NASCAR has been trying to basically circle around saying the same things over and over and over again. And NASCAR has not really gone through the public eye at this point. We've seen Denny Hamlin speak out publicly. We've seen Curtis Polk speak out publicly about this. And we've also seen Michael Jordan speak about it. The drivers of these organizations, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, and Todd Gillen have not really spoken about the charter system. They've just been kind of falling behind the scenes. And they've been paying attention to some of the stuff that has been going on as well. At this particular moment in point with the lawsuits at this point, I think NASCAR is looking for last-ditch efforts to try to go ahead and win this lawsuit at this point. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, if they can provide the evidence that gives them an opportunity to win, then they may have a chance to win this countersuit. The question is going to be, will Kenneth Bell, who's been on the side of the lawsuit in recent months, will he be presiding over this countersuit? Or will, of course, we see some other judges come into play that maybe side with NASCAR? Or are we going to have someone that's going to be in the middle of this situation and kind of preside through the middle on the antitrust stuff? Because it seems like to me at this point that I think NASCAR is looking for a way to try to find a way to get this charter system, because NASCAR isn't the biggest fan of the charter system. They've talked about getting rid of it and going toward maybe an Xfinity Series style system that we've seen in other forms and stuff like the Xfinity Series, where like they have a top 30 rule, but you wouldn't have the guarantee money, and NASCAR would have to pay millions upon $1 million back to the teams if they, of course, were to get rid of the charter system. I think this countersuit is going to be something that's seriously interesting to follow. And the question I have is, are we going to see other teams join up with the lawsuit down the road? NASCAR is basically kind of threatened, saying, I don't want to see any teams joining up with the lawsuit. But we know that Richard Childress, he was not very happy with basically the original charter agreement that came out for 2025. As, of course, he basically called it a communist regime. Some teams were a little bit okay with it, like Justin Marks and Trackhouse Racing. I think Brad Keselowski was okay with it as well. But yeah, other people like Rick Hendrick and Hendrick Motorsports that weren't very happy with some of the agreements in regards to the charter agreement. But now you've got a countersuit going on here. So you've got now one lawsuit that's going on between 2011 Front Row against NASCAR, and you've got the other side of things where a countersuit is going on currently at the moment. As more information does come out in regards to this countersuit, we'll discuss it here on the channel. But I think it's absolutely wild to see that we've got not only one lawsuit in regards to this charter stuff going on now, but you've got a countersuit that is going on. As more information comes out, we'll discuss it here live on the channel. But this is a massive story because NASCAR is going ahead and countersuing the teams of 2311 and Front Row and Michael Jordan and Curtis Polk as well. So, that is going to be today's special breaking news report on NASCAR countersuing the teams. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What do you think about NASCAR countersuing the teams? Do you think they'll have a chance to win their countersuit or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later this morning on the channel, we are going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. As more information does come out throughout this lawsuit between 2311 Front Row and NASCAR, we'll discuss here live on the channel. We're also going to have race picks for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race coming out this late afternoon. And of course, we've got other content coming out this week. We might be hearing some penalties on Austin Cindric. We've also got the Chase Briscoe appeal that's going on today, and there probably will be a video on that as well. We got a lot of content dropping today and some big news that might be coming out and other things. We'll talk about people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Clay Zafara, Matt Benedetto, Frankie Muniz, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Connor Zilch, Junior Motorsports, all those big names in the industry. We'll talk about them on here on the channel very, very soon. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.